We now change our perspective and change our view and turn our attention to the significant risks posed to us all by the effects of climate change. We have heard already reference today to the heat waves, for example in Spain and Portugal, where July temperatures reached 46 degrees. The forest fires again in Spain, Portugal and Greece, again referenced by President von der Leyen in the mobilisation of resources to fight those. The flooding in northern Italy and other parts of Europe are all having increasing severity and recurring with greater frequency. Climate change does not respect borders. Its impacts are felt in every corner of Europe, in our cities, our countrysides and our communities. But while the scale of the challenge is global, we are hearing that the solutions have to be delivered at a local level. So it is crucial to mitigate against climate change by decarbonising our economies. It is also crucial to prepare our territories for what may be unavoidable impacts. And we all understand that such preparedness and risk management and those policies associated have to be tailored to respond to the local needs and regional level. So we will explore this topic in our next panel, focused on protecting Europe from climate risk through local resilience. So to kick us off, we will listen to a video message by Wopke Hoekstra, European Commissioner for Climate, Net Zero and Clean Growth, who is also unavailable because of the College of Europe Commission's meetings.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to address you today for this year's EU Covenant of Mayors ceremony. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I'm delighted to be able to address you in this way. Before anything else, I want to say to you how much the EU Covenant of Mayors matters. You're the first EU initiative built from the ground up, driving energy and climate action. And you're a community of leaders who truly recognize how climate action can change quality of life, safety and economic growth in your towns. And you understand people's needs and the challenges they face. And as we all know, climate change is profoundly disrupting societies and economies. Extreme weather events, from heat waves to rising sea levels, are impacting every single community you represent. This is costing lives. It's also costing money. So what is the answer? Well, we must prioritize strategic planning and resilience building. And we must do so to better withstand the challenges ahead. Cities like Getafe, Reggio Emilia, Stockholm and Mannheim are leading by example. You are showing how urban design, nature-based solutions, and, as a matter of fact, strong governance protect communities and revive local economies. The second point I wanted to make is about multi-level governance. Local and regional leaders cannot succeed in isolation. Neighboring areas should actually work together. And everyone should understand their part in handling risk. So you need support from your governments. You need support from the European Union. And the same is true vice versa. And that is why the European Commission is developing a new integrated framework for climate resilience and risk management. That is foreseen for the end of next year. And let me tell you, it is going to be ambitious. And the idea is to align efforts on resilience across the European Union, national and local levels. And we also have the Climate Adaptation Mission. The mission is doing great work with front-runner regions and local authorities, helping them to better grasp climate risks they face and develop plans to address them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a start. There's a lot more to come on resilience and adaptation. And I know we can continue to count on you as the EU Covenant of Mayors in order to build a safer and prosperous Europe for all of our citizens. So thank you once again for your dedication and for your leadership.
Thank you to the Commissioner. Thank you to the Commissioner for those encouraging words and foresight. I would now like to ask the panel members for our second panel to please join me on the podium. So while we wait for Mr. Dusik to join us, I will introduce the panel to you. So the panel will consist of Jan Dusik, who is Deputy General Director of Climate Action of the European Commission. We also have Sarah Hernandez Barroso, Mayor of Getafe in Spain. Getafe is the signatory of the Covenant of Mayors since 2014, participating in the technical assistance of the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub, and also has been a beneficiary of the European City Facility. Carlotta Bonvicini is the Deputy Mayor of Reggio Emilia in Italy. Reggio Emilia is a signatory of the Covenant of Mayors since the beginning in 2009, so a long history with the Covenant, and also a beneficiary of the European City Facility. Åsa Lindhagen, Deputy Mayor of Stockholm in Sweden, and a member of the board of the European Covenant of Mayors. Stockholm is also a signatory of the Covenant of Mayors since its beginning and a labelled city of the EU mission for climate neutral and smart cities. Also joining us is Diana Pretzel, Deputy Mayor of the city of Mannheim in Germany. Mannheim is a signatory of the Covenant of Mayors since 2010 and a labelled city of the EU mission of climate neutral and smart cities. And I had the pleasure of visiting the city last year to work with their energy agency. And finally, on our panel, we have Julia Domac, Director of the Northwest Croatian Energy and Climate Agency, or REGIA. He is a member of the board of the EU Covenant of Mayors. Also, REGIA is a Covenant of Mayors supporter since 2014 and is acting as a national hub in the European City Facility. So, we will begin. Let us consider the accelerating challenges of climate change, which is putting citizens' lives at risk and causing devastating impacts across our cities and towns. So our cities and towns need to be better prepared to face these frequent heat waves, flooding incidents, and other climate-related impacts. And also climate change is disproportionately affecting the most vulnerable groups in our society. So we will begin by addressing these by talking to Mayor Barroso and Mayor Bonvicini about how are you managing to tackle these issues in the respective cities of Getafe and Reggio Emilia. So please, Mayor Barroso.
Muy buenos días a todos y a todas. En primer lugar, permítanos desde Getafe dar las gracias a todas las instituciones, a los miembros del Pacto de las alcaldías de la Unión Europea por el clima y la energía, a todas las autoridades presentes por brindarnos la extraordinaria, grandísima oportunidad de poder estar hoy aquí explicando la experiencia de Getafe. No solo explicarla, sino además beber de otras experiencias absolutamente fabulosas de otras ciudades y seguir aprendiendo para seguir mejorando. En el caso de la ciudad de Getafe, teníamos absolutamente claro que debíamos conjugar tres conceptos que debían ir de la mano ante cualquier política pública en esta materia. En primer lugar, hablar y consolidar algo tan importante como el derecho a la energía. En segundo lugar, la rehabilitación residencial. Y en tercer lugar, una idea física de que la vivienda no es solo el hogar, sino que la vivienda debía extender sus paredes para poder ocupar el barrio, las plazas, las calles, de tal manera que todo nuestro entorno fuera nuestro verdadero hogar. Si teníamos claros esos conceptos, teníamos igualmente clara la realidad, una realidad absolutamente tozuda del cambio climático, tanto en olas de frío, tanto en olas de calor, que afecta de manera igual al conjunto de la ciudadanía, pero que de una manera más importante tiene especial incidencia en la población más vulnerable. Y para ello en Getafe tenemos una máxima, como todas las ciudades y gobiernos locales, es que no podemos avanzar si no avanzamos todos, si no avanzamos todas juntas. Sabiendo la realidad, sabiendo cómo teníamos que hacer, necesitamos un cuarto elemento, que eran las herramientas, para poder abordar esta realidad, para ofrecer las mejores soluciones posibles, adaptadas a cada una de las necesidades, porque también teníamos claro que para cada necesidad concreta debíamos desarrollar una solución específica, no valía a todos la misma solución ante diferentes problemáticas. Hicimos un diagnóstico y empezamos a buscar datos. Solo sobre la base de datos y su explotación podíamos ofrecer las mejores de las soluciones. Y eso vino de la mano del programa EPIU, de Hogares Saludables, dentro de la convocatoria de acciones urbanas innovadoras, que nos permitió comprender que esta política de acción contra la emergencia climática no iba de dar ayudas a las personas más vulnerables. Eso no resolvía el problema, simplemente lo tapaba. Sabíamos que teníamos que tener una acción transversal, donde el conjunto de la organización municipal actuara en la misma línea. Y, por supuesto, no podíamos hacerlo solo desde la administración pública local, sino que teníamos que ir de la mano de la ciudadanía, con universidades, instituciones públicas y privadas, en un modelo absolutamente colaborativo. Y desde Getafe lo decimos alto y claro, nunca perdemos ninguna oportunidad. Estas herramientas europeas nos han brindado la grandísima oportunidad de crear barrios más confortables, de crear ciudades más saludables que puedan hacer frente a la emergencia climática. Y con todo ello hemos elaborado una hoja de ruta, que es la estrategia de rehabilitación y regeneración del entorno urbano, con la cual ganamos eficacia y eficiencia en la gestión, gracias a la explotación de esos datos de los que hablábamos anteriormente y los diagnósticos, primando, como no puede ser de otra manera, aquellos barrios con mayores deficiencias en la construcción, que precisamente son los barrios de la población más vulnerable, de la población migrante y trabajadora. Termino. Sabemos que lo estamos haciendo bien, permítanme que la osadía de poder decirlo así. Vamos por el buen camino. Consideramos que toda la ciudad debe ser un auténtico refugio climático contra las consecuencias del cambio climático. Para ello, acciones de mayor vegetación, mayor sombreado en los espacios públicos, adaptando nuestros edificios, especialmente los más sensibles, como pueden ser, por ejemplo, los colegios, instalación de placas fotovoltaicas, o permítanos que también señalemos de una manera muy importante las comunidades energéticas como una verdadera herramienta, un instrumento de empoderamiento ciudadano. Con todo ello, ya termino, una nueva forma de relacionarnos con la energía, desde una perspectiva clave como es el derecho a la energía, creando para ello ciudades más amables, ciudades más resilientes y ciudades en las que podamos hacer frente a las consecuencias del cambio climático. Muchísimas gracias.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here representing also the many Italian mayors and cities that are here today. Reggio Emilia has been working on climate change for many years now, also through European projects and partnerships, linking adaptation policies with citizens' health and the quality of public spaces, in line with the Covenant of Mayors recommendations. In 2020, Reggio Emilia became one of the first Italian cities to adopt a climate change adaptation strategy. The strategy is based on climate data projections up to 2100 and on a detailed territorial analysis. And this analysis clearly shows that our main vulnerabilities are urban heat islands, of course, flooding and droughts. These findings leave no doubt that urgent action is needed to protect citizens and urban environment. So, building on this work, we have developed a new approach to urban landscape called Urbano Naturale, we can say natural urban, which is a strategy that tries, instead of treating green spaces as purely aesthetic elements of the urban landscape, to see vegetation as a vital and functional part of the city, recognizing its ecological and social value in improving resilience for community and well-being. We would like to use adaptation as the engine to create a new face of public space with a new human and nature-centered design. Thanks to a specific live project that we worked on during the last years, we are testing innovative solutions that bring this vision into life. A new model of adaptive parks, so we started from green areas, was recently designed and adopted in our urban parks to reduce climate impacts and offer the community more livable public spaces. We used urban microforest and reduced mowing green areas, and these help to increase biodiversity and lowering urban temperatures. Permeable surfaces are helping us managing stormwater, while shade trees provide natural cooling during heat waves. Our next objective is to extend this adapting intervention to the most vulnerable areas of the city. For this reason, we have decided to develop a specific adaptation master plan for the historical city center and the most densely populated neighborhoods in order to support the most fragile population and address the areas of the city that are most at risk. Beyond all this, we must continue to invest in building energy renovation, as well as in sustainable mobility, strengthening public transport and encouraging cycling and walking more and more. A city that is fair is a city for all, livable and welcoming, like the 15-minute city that we've been talking about so much after COVID. Suitable for children as well as for elderly and vulnerable in every season of the year. This is the target that we are trying to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these contributions. It's clear that we can see in the language that is being used in this panel that we need to translate to longer-term planning and to consider the long-term impacts that climate change. We've heard 2100 mentioned as a projection year. Challenging when we have discussed earlier on immediate challenges that we have to solve today, but also looking at adaptation as potentially an engine and addressing challenges for vulnerable groups. So looking at climate change and the challenges on our infrastructure, our access to water, and more importantly, people's lives. Let's focus on this for a second, and I'd like to get the insights of Julia Domac to consider what role do the regional and local authorities have in addressing this threat, and how can energy and climate agencies support them. Please, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you, Seamus. I think we all know here in this room and even beyond that the regional and local authorities are on the front lines. They ensure energy, they ensure water security on their communities, they protect critical infrastructure, they care for the well-being of the citizens. Well, they are the closest to the people, they are the best placed, of course, they are the most exposed ones. So they need to integrate resilience into urban and rural planning, ensure that the transport and water systems can survive without that extreme weather conditions which we are seeing more and more in Europe. And well, they need to, thanks to that proximity to the citizens, they need to foster behavior change, they need to build capacity for sustainable living. In reality, they bridge the gap between global ambition, EU policy and local actions, the reality. This is where energy and climate agencies like REGEA or Tipperary in your country come in. We act as enablers, facilitators, auxiliators. We are very often factory of ideas. We provide technical expertise. We assist municipalities in planning. We offer training. We promote innovation. We promote best practices. We are the ones very often to coordinate and to implement that very strange word multi-stakeholder participation. We are in charge very often for common sense to ensure that local actions are coherent, scalable and aligned with broader climate objectives. I'll just give you one example what we are doing at REGEA. And a great example is our cooperation with the city of Zagreb, one of our founders, of course. The city of Zagreb, by the way, yesterday received the European Mission label for its Climate City contract. Together with the city of Zagreb, we are the ones who are building a new governance model where climate neutrality is not a part of main topic of one single department. It's embraced in every office, every decision, so every official is involved and participating. So Zagreb no longer separates mitigation from adaptation, and each investment in clean energy, mobility or renovation is also investment in resilience. In summary, regional and local authorities are the engines of climate action. We know that, of course. It was mentioned many, many times before. And energy and climate agencies are the catalyst. They are their expanded hand. Together, we can then build resilient, future-proof communities in northwest Croatia, in all European Union and beyond. Thank you.
So some great examples of local and regional authorities working closely with their energy and climate agencies on this topic of integration, behaviour change. But local and regional authorities also often need to come up with innovative policies and actions to increase their climate preparedness. So we turn to Stockholm, and I'd like to invite Åsa Lindhagen from Stockholm to show and tell us how Stockholm is addressing this challenge and how you're integrating nature into your responses. Please.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and it brings me hope to be in a room filled with politicians on local and regional levels fighting every day for better lives for people. Well, first of all, I would like to say what I always say. We are in a climate emergency right now, and what's most important of all things is that we cut emissions down to zero. So we have to have that in mind all the time if we want our societies to function also in the future. With that said, we also need to adapt to changes that will come and that are actually already happening around us also here in Europe. So what is the climate crisis really about? Well, it's about extreme weather events that are becoming harder and harder to survive. It's about heat waves, flooding, droughts, fires, and it's about access to food and water. So that's what's at stake here, the basic foundation for human life. And I have to also say that I'm really angry that so many national governments don't take responsibility for human security. I'm furious, actually. But I think this means that we need to work even harder on the local and regional level, and that's what we do in Stockholm. And we aim to be one of the world's leading cities in climate transition. So we do a number of things to adapt our city, and we have made an effort to identify where our vulnerabilities lie. We have developed a cloudburst model, and we have done a heat mapping of the whole city. So that means that we know where in the city that we have our greatest risks of flooding and hotspots. So that's where we focus our adaptation interventions. And we use nature-based solutions a lot, and I was really happy to hear the President Ursula von der Leyen emphasize the importance of nature-based solutions. And for example, we plant trees that provide shade and reduce temperature in hot spots. We build so-called rain gardens with plants and trees and soil that can retain water very efficiently and reduce flood risks. And we spend quite a lot of money on adaptation, and I sometimes get the question, is it really worth it? Isn't it very expensive? Well, my answer to that is that if we don't adapt, that will be extremely expensive. For example, floodings in Copenhagen 2011 cost society approximately 1 billion euros. The World Economic Forum, they have found that every dollar invested in adaptation today can save up to $10 in the future. So my clear message is we can't afford not to spend money on adaptation, because that will truly cost us a fortune in the future, and of course a lot of human suffering, and we want that of course to happen, so we have to adapt. Thank you.
Thank you, and it's clear again that zero carbon is still the goal. Let's not forget that, but we have to invest now to deal with the climate risks and climate adaptation, and great to feel your passion for the topic. So it's clear that we need all hands on deck to address the climate transition, but also to respond to climate adaptation and climate risk, to build resilience in our cities, our towns and our regions. And many players need to come together to address this issue. As I mentioned, I have been to Mannheim, and I would like to invite our Deputy Mayor Pretzel to speak about what Mannheim is doing in this regard and this really interesting model they have for bringing their stakeholders together. Please.
Yeah, thank you so much, and hello to the family, the urban family, and thank you that all the European leaders have been here today and focused on us being part of democracy, one of the most important part of democracy, and also saying that climate change is still the future for Europe. Because I think this message is so important in these times, because climate change is not electable anymore for a lot of people. So I'm very, very thankful for that, for everybody, for us and for our citizens, because it's our future, as you just said. So what are we doing in Mannheim? You said you visited us, and thank you for that. We are focusing on different stakeholders and saying that climate change is our future for our industry, because we are an industry city, and our industry is causing 50% of our climate topic. So we are really focusing on that. We are focusing on the heating change, and we are focusing, of course, on our citizens in different things. And we are one of the EU mission cities. You just mentioned that, and also we are focusing on the climate view, the monitoring of our CO2 mission. So what are we doing? We are having a Dilo-Mart for the citizens, and everybody can put in the Dilo-Mart what they can do and then see their deal for the city. So everybody can really be part of it. So, and through the monitoring, everybody can see it just in the same second if they start to be part of it. We have a local Green Deal team. So from every Green Deal topic, we have somebody going into the city, going to industries, going to the citizens and talk to them what they can do. And for that, they have a toolbox out of more than 100 tools that industry can do changes on, and also that nightlife and events can do changes on. So we have different toolbox for a lot of different people. And this toolbox helps everybody to go into change, to go into action. And out of that, we already received more than 250 deals in the city. And on top, we have our Climate Action Agency that you just visited, and they offer advice to citizens and financial support to everybody. And this is also, from my point of view, very important. And out of that, we have a lot of things going on in the city, because we also said that we are not making this ourselves. But even our startups are building up very interesting new topics on the heating, and also in our SWAF treatment plant. They developed something that this can be used for ships, ship energy, and this is, I think, also a very important new deal that helps the world to get into change. So what do we need? We need multi-level governance and money to bring this into action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana. And we've heard the focus now on also industry has been a key stakeholder in our climate adaptation and risk management strategies. And I really enjoyed the Dealomat when I was there. I'm trying to invent such a Dealomat in Tipperary. So we've heard again lots of examples of the challenges that our cities and regions are facing. The fires in Cadiz, the heat waves in Scania, the floods in Friulia, Venosa, Giulia. And these are just some of the many countless instances of climate challenges that are being faced. So we have the pleasure to have Deputy Director General Dusek with us, and he will give us an outline of how the Commission is supporting cities and regions in adapting to Europe's climate future while leaving no one behind. Please, Deputy Director.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon already to all of you. Very honoured to be on a panel with representatives of cities who are representing their citizens. And I was looking up that the citizen comes from the civitas, which is cities or communities. So I would take it in the broader sense. But I think that the important feature is the connectedness of the cities and their citizens. And obviously we see many examples and growing number of examples how the cities and local and regional authorities as well are on the front line of climate change. And we have unfortunately more examples, and we know that this is not gonna disappear. This is gonna be with us even if we were able to stop emissions today. We know that we are committed to significant climate changes, and we need to brace for that, and cities have an important role in that sense. As the European Commission, we support cities and regions in several complementary ways. Our President, in the opening this morning, she mentioned a number of those, and of course the Covenant of Mayors, which we are celebrating today, is a long-established prime example how that cooperation and mutual learning works. I would mention another example from our domain on adaptation. We have an EU mission on adaptation, which involves hundreds of regions across Europe. It facilitates the exchange of knowledge and experience. It showcases the practical solutions, and it helps the signatories to learn from each other. There are many regions participating in the mission projects which showcase innovative approaches from the ground, including nature-based solutions which were mentioned here, the different finance models, and also enabling how to learn from those successful projects and how to replicate them. we have strengthened the coherence and cooperation between the EU mission and the EU covenant. It is the same strategy which has the objective to achieve climate neutrality and resilience in all EU cities. And you have the mission that supports the frontrunners in developing innovative solutions, and then you have the covenant that supports all other regional authorities to follow suit and disseminate the solutions widely. Secondly, looking ahead, and Commissioner Hoekstra mentioned it in the opening of this panel, we are working on the integrated framework for climate resilience, which aims to provide a more structured approach to planning and investing in climate adaptation. We want to guide the regions and local authorities in assessing risks, in prioritizing preventive measures, in mobilizing resources, and in monitoring results, and also all that, making sure that no community is left behind. So based on the science-based assessments and with financing tools and local actions, we want the adaptation to be more systematic, equitable and durable across the continent. And we started with hearing from a wide cross-section of society and businesses in informing the preparation of our new framework, and we heard the need for more common climate reference scenarios, because there can be different decisions made just across the border, and it doesn't have to be a state border. It can be just a regional or community border. And these investment decisions may vary significantly if they are based on an assumption of a warming of 1.5 degrees or 3 degrees, and on the likelihood of extreme climate events, which, of course, to a great extent cannot be predicted precisely, but it is useful to have the common scenarios. The other point we have in our framework is the resilience by design. We want to invest, we want the policies to be based on the principle of resilience by design, that we need to be informed in all those investment policy decisions by the climate of the future. And this is also why we have proposed in the multi-annual financial framework in July that climate resilience by design should be one of the leading principles. And I mentioned leaving no one behind and just resilience as central to our work. We want to use the opportunity of preparing the framework also to map the vulnerabilities, to make sure that not only the vulnerable groups of society are heard, but also that their needs are taken into account at all levels of governance. And there, obviously, the cities and communities can be very helpful as being the direct interlocutors. So ultimately we look for empowering the cities and regions with knowledge, support and incentives, knowing that we don't want to be prescriptive and insensitive to specific needs, but we want to enable them to choose from the best menu of options. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director Jusek, for this insight, and in particular today, the insight into the framework being developed on climate resilience and risk management. As I will turn to my panel to ask for some insights, and perhaps Christmas is coming a little early, where you can write your Christmas letter and request what you would like to see included in this framework, based on your experience, based on your on-the-ground knowledge. And I would like to start, please, with Mayor Barroso. Please, thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias. Pues sí, me encantan estas preguntas porque son las preguntas en los momentos para poder pedir. Y no hay nada que le guste más a un alcalde o una alcaldesa que poder pedir para su ciudad. La respuesta a esta pregunta podría ser una muy rápida, sencilla, que sería la de continuar impulsando programas innovadores, seguir fomentando que las ciudades llevamos a cabo programas como los que hoy aquí estamos explicando. Pero es verdad que hay que bajar un poco más al detalle. Hay que detallar el cómo poder hacerlo. Y desde Getafe proponemos dos líneas. La primera de ellas es, de una manera muy clara, seguir apostando, seguir dando toda la relevancia posible a las ciudades y a las áreas metropolitanas, como primera cuestión. Somos los espacios más cercanos a la ciudadanía, somos aquellos espacios en los que nuestros vecinos y nuestras vecinas desarrollan sus proyectos vitales, sus proyectos familiares y, sin duda alguna, también los profesionales. Y además, en segundo lugar, ¿qué estamos demostrando? Hoy es un claro ejemplo de ello, que tenemos ganas de hacerlo, que tenemos una clara vocación de servicio público para poder mejorar nuestros entornos. Y además, prueba de ello también las extraordinarias experiencias que hoy se están explicando, que sabemos cómo hacerlo. Además, apostando por ciudades, apostando por la cercanía, ganamos también en eficacia en la gestión. Y le demostramos a la ciudadanía a la cual queremos ofrecer mejor calidad de vida la importancia de las políticas públicas. Esta mañana, durante la sesión de apertura, se ha mencionado mucho, de una manera muy importante, la necesidad de fortalecer la democracia. Pues evidentemente, apostando por las ciudades, apostando por la credibilidad de la gestión pública es un elemento fundamental para poder fortalecer esa democracia, ganando en credibilidad en cómo nos relacionamos con la ciudadanía. Si esta es la primera línea, la segunda que proponemos desde la maravillosa ciudad de Getafe es que se haga a través de la línea de una apuesta muy clara, que es la que se está haciendo, pero hay que seguir potenciándola, de la innovación. Seguir apostando por la innovación, por proyectos innovadores. Pero no cualquier innovación, sino defendemos una innovación que esté al servicio de la mejora social. Con esa frase que antes yo he mencionado, que desde Getafe hacemos eco, que no es verdadero progreso si no podemos avanzar todos y todas juntas. En segundo lugar, una innovación que hable de fortalecer comunidades, de arraigo, de orgullo de pertenencia a nuestra comunidad más próxima. Una innovación que está al servicio del trabajo colaborativo, que hable de un diálogo continuo con la ciudadanía, empoderando a la ciudadanía. La ciudadanía que no la podemos ver como meros perceptores de ayudas públicas, sino como agentes activos, participantes activos en el cambio social. Tenemos los marcos adecuados y en esta ocasión uno muy idóneo, que son las agendas urbanas. Tenemos líneas de futuro muy interesantes que se están desarrollando a nivel europeo, en las que las ciudades queremos participar, queremos opinar. Por lo tanto, creemos desde Getafe que estamos en las mejores condiciones para abordar los retos, ya no de futuro, sino los retos ya del presente que están aquí, para adaptar nuestras ciudades al cambio climático y para afianzar que no hay nada más importante en la vida y absolutamente más maravilloso que afianzar modelos de ciudad que sean para las personas, por las personas y siempre beneficiando a las personas. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Mayor Barroso. Please pass now to Mayor Bonvicini.
About this topic, we think that the future framework should consider many themes. First of all, data. Reggio Emilia's experience for us shows that adaptation strategies must be built on solid scientific evidence. And for this reason, we believe that framework should support municipality in accessing reliable climate data and tools for territorial vulnerability assessments, which are essential to guide local action. Then targets and guidelines. Countries like Italy, which have such a special cultural and architectural heritage, need strong support from the European Commission in the form of specific guidelines and action targets. For example, the Emilia-Romagna region made a very useful project on guidelines on nature-based solutions in urban areas that we actually used. We based on that guidelines most of the design tools that we actually developed, and also for our technicians and our planners. Then, of course, resources. Another priority is for cities to access a new financial mechanism to test innovative nature-based solutions. Cities need also flexible instruments that can blend and put together public and private and community resources. So making it possible will scale up climate adaptation and ensure that the strategies move from planning to implementation. Of course, then the collaborative approach. One of Reggio Emilia's core strengths lies in its ability to mobilize local stakeholders, including citizens, associations, businesses and academic institutions through participatory governance processes. We would like that the new framework will explicitly recognize and encourage these collaborative approaches, as resilience is only possible when it's co-created with the community, and this, I think, is something that mayors know very well. And to conclude, I think climate awareness and education on these topics, together with capacity building investments, are fundamental, not just for citizens, but also for technicians, policymakers, professionals, that can generate a multidisciplinary and multi-stakeholder approach. EU resources, missions and guidelines are vital for cities and local authorities to set their targets. And on urban and climate planning, I also think that metropolitan and wide area frameworks, especially for little and smaller municipalities, are very important. So I also suggest to encourage regions and provinces to keep together municipalities in their planning, help them making their plan and making them work together and drive them, giving them the right tools. So thank you for the chance that we had today to interact and talk.
Thank you, Mayor Bonvicini. And we move now to Stockholm, please, to Deputy Mayor Lindhagen.
Thank you so much. I have three things I would like to address. And the first thing is that cities must be at the center of the climate resilience framework, because we are, like Julia expressed it earlier, on the front line. We are the first to handle heat waves, floods, fires, infrastructure failures, and we protect people when it matters the most. So, second thing, funding. To do this very important job that we do effectively, we need support, and I mean dedicated funding streams directly to cities, to the local and regional level. And we are many mayors and local leaders right now who are very worried about the new proposal for a multi-annual financial framework, because we see a lack of resources that are going directly to the local and regional level. And we do have national governments in the Union that delay or restrict disbursements, so that goes to the cities. So that's the situation in the Union, and that's a big worry. So I really strongly want to emphasize that we need direct funding. Otherwise, to be frank, I'm convinced that the climate work of the Union will be damaged, deeply damaged. So finally, the third thing, we need to focus on nature-based solutions, as previously mentioned, take care of ecosystems, restore ecosystems, grow plants and trees that protect the cities, and nature-based solutions represent the most effective way to adapt to climate change. So all of this, cities, fundings, nature-based solutions need to be integrated in the new framework. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we move, please, to Deputy Mayor Pretzel.
Yeah. What is my Christmas wish? It's very close to yours. So what would I say? We need a truly integrated, actionable and locally grounded management here for the integrated framework. That will help us a lot. And therefore, we need a clear and shared European Union definition of climate resilience, combined with binding resilient goals, because only on this topic, on this ground, we can really work, as you just said. Secondly, we need, as you just said, the multi-annual finance framework as a long-term funding, because this is not project work. It's long-term work for the democracy and for our cities and for Europe at the last. Also, we need this to be part of the EU city agenda, as Ms. von der Leyen just said. And this has to be fully embedded. And it has to be implemented with the cities and by the cities. And the cities have to sit at the table for that. Moreover, we need an obligationally funding by our member states. The member states have to give the funding directly to us. This has to be obligatory by the European Union, otherwise it does not come to us. And this is the biggest problem for us. So please, 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 please bring this into action, otherwise it's not happening. And at last, the cities are at your side. But we need Europe to be on our side and also our member states. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diana. And finally, I pass the floor to Julia.
Thank you, Seamus. I always hated that one wish concept. Well, we all have many more wishes. But okay, if I could ask for one thing, that would be that the new integrated framework truly includes multi-level governments, but not as a voluntary principle, something you do if you wish, otherwise you do not do that, but as a mandatory funded mechanism. And I can also only support what was already said about MMF. Putting everything through national governments is very wrong. I'm not a mayor, so I can say that freely. That's very wrong. That's the end of the EU, what we know. And the whole cohesion policy, it's not just giving money to less developed. It's building the EU as it was originally planned. The EU where we are all Europeans, European citizens, with the idea that we are equal and that the quality of life in our cities, regardless is it Zagreb or Stockholm or Mannheim, is at the end of the day the same. And of course, the climate topic is very local. So the problems we faced are very different in my city or in north of Europe or in south of Spain. Again, we need to be able to address the differences, and this is why we need to preserve that. So my message to you as mayors, do not allow that. Be very aware of what's going on and be very, very informed, ambitious, included, and work hard. We are here to help. So I think only by placing multi-level governments at the heart of the system, the EU can unlock the potential of local and regional actions and ensure that no community is left behind, as we said that many times today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. So a long wish list, Deputy Director Jusek. I suppose interested to hear some of your reactions and the potential to fit some of these ideas and these proposals into the integrated framework for climate resilience and risk. And I think you can hear clearly the wish of the cities and the regions to work with you to develop this framework.
Thank you. Well, I might resemble a little bit Santa Claus, but I'm not quite Santa Claus, and it's not Christmas yet. And we will deliver our proposal later than Christmas, but definitely very good food for thought of what are the key ingredients that we will try to bring on board. And I mentioned some of them, and you mentioned many of those and many additional ones, and I agree that it needs to be the right mix in between subsidiarity, proportionality, EU added value, but also coherence and enabling conditions. So in that mix where the European level regulation for the framework for resilience can add the needed elements and can bring some of those needs that you have highlighted. You've highlighted innovation. Obviously, this will be a continued innovation, and the solutions which we know today either may evolve until tomorrow, or there may be no longer applicable. So this will need to be a dynamic process. Common definition is something we are looking into. The ability to speak from the same awareness, of course, underpinned by science, underpinned by data, and making sure that science informs the policy, not at the European level, but going all the way to the local level as well. So, how to draw the link between the science-based risk assessment, such as the first EU climate risk assessment that was published last year, going all the way down, working with national environmental agencies, but also with all sources of data, including public awareness. So it should be an iterative process as well. I heard a lot about resources and the need for dedicated resources. Obviously, this is something which will be discussed in this House as well, and other parts of the EU family. The Commission has presented the proposal for the multi-annual financial framework. I mentioned the principle of resilience by design. That is part of that. The other feature of the proposed MFF is that it should have a dedicated portion of funding going to climate and environment at 35%. So it is a significant amount of money which is proposed to be invested into climate and environment. And it is on purpose connected. Also, you mentioned nature-based solutions. So we are looking for solutions which will not only address the climate challenge, but that will be a synergy with protecting biodiversity and using full scale of the services of the ecosystems, and how we can perhaps with €1 how we can manage multiple purposes. And obviously the space for collaboration, co-creation, the engagement is something that should be an iterative and continuous process. We are creating regional adaptation hubs through the mission of adaptation. We want to enhance the knowledge exchange and the collaboration and sharing of the challenges and the solutions, and learning on those. So these are definitely elements which will be very useful for us as we proceed with drafting of the first climate risk framework. It will be prepared towards the second half of next year, but we will be launching a public consultation as well on the proposal, and really we want this to be as grounded in reality and on the ground experience as possible. So please stay tuned for the communication, for the framework, and we will be happy to receive further inputs, and hopefully when the framework is finalized and comes out, it will probably be late for this Christmas, but hopefully, as usual with Christmas, you have a wish list, and you will have at least some of the items on the wish list. And from my childhood experience, I remember that I was never disappointed with what I received. So I hope that it will be also the case for this framework, that it will provide the needed tools, and that will bring us to a more resilient Europe that is not just seen from here in Brussels, but is very much felt by the citizens, who should not be left alone, who should understand that the climate action is both about becoming prepared for climate change, becoming resilient, and of course addressing the root cause, which is the emissions of greenhouse gases. So it is very much integrated, very excited to continue this discussion and to move forward to presenting the proposal next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director. Again, very clear to see that it is not one or the other. It is a very integrated approach. So, and we've heard that from across the panel through their powerful contributions. I think the words that struck for me were the ones that spoke about neighbourhoods and society. So at the heart of all our policies and our discussions about funding, the mayors here are thinking about their people. The mayors in front of me are thinking about those people, and the mayors online and in the EU cabinet mayors are thinking about their people and the investments, not the costs, the investments that can be made to make society better for all of them. And you are strongly encouraged to take advantage of that opening offer to engage in that consultation. I think it is, there are lots of views in this room and in Europe indeed that can contribute and work with the Commission to deliver a strong integrated framework. So we have seen and heard lots of examples and actions at local, regional, city level, and many more are out there in the European Covenant of Mayors framework. And so please engage with your other cities, your colleagues, to learn and to exchange more. I really hope you've gained some inspiration from this panel, from our speakers who have taken the time to explain to you the efforts that they are taking to deal with climate risk and climate adaptation. And please bring those home into your cities, your regions, your towns. So I would ask you to please show your appreciation for our speakers as we conclude this panel session. Thank you very much.